2024 has come to an end, and as we near the halfway mark of the season, it's time to revisit the real winners and losers for all of 2024. Some former winners have become complete disasters, others have turned around the ship heading into 2025, while some have found a way to maintain their excellence. So let's break down the tactics and storylines for the top 5 real winners and losers of the calendar year and what they hold in store for us for 2025. Kicking it off on a positive note with our winner in the number 5 slot, it's going to be the New Jersey Devils. The Devils started off 2024 on a rough note. Missing the playoffs last season sparked change as they brought in new head coach Sheldon Keefe. And so far in the 24-25 season, the Devils look like a brand new team under Chief Keefe. Their identity for a few years have been a run-and-gun style that have been led by Jack Hughes and Jesper Bradatui. But Keefe has stepped in and made this team a defensive juggernaut while maintaining their offensive touch. Ranking first in goals against, the Devils recently became the first team in NHL history to allow fewer than 20 shots on goal in 7 consecutive games. In our first winners and losers video, we talked about how the Devils increased their dump-in rate in the neutral zone to reduce turnovers and create more off the forecheck. Not only have they minimized the risk of a chance against, but it's given them a more dynamic offensive attack. The Devils dominate the league in high-danger shots per 60. You'll notice that the next 2 players after that are Matthews and Tavares, 2 former players that Sheldon Keefe coached. His offenses are creative, mobile, and fluid. Every player on the ice is constantly in motion, with the most dangerous players dipping and diving in and out of the slot to create headaches for their opponents. However, the Devils' structure in the 1-2-2 neutral zone without the puck has allowed them to create more rush chances and play with far more possession. Teams can't generate more than 20 shots a game because their cohesion is forcing teams into a turnover or into icing the puck entirely. Watch here how Pittsburgh has no play due to good structure up ice and solid angling by the F1 of the Devils. As the Penguins' D partner goes to change, the puck carrier's main option is to throw it up this side of the ice. Now, you can't entirely see it because it's the broadcast view, but he holds on to it because the New Jersey defender is in perfect position to cut off the stretch play. Even as the puck carrier escapes, watch this Devils player come bombing in as the new F1 to maintain that suffocating pressure. With a change of sides, Jersey has 2 in the middle of the ice and 2 defenders on the blue line, and the Hail Mary tip-in is missed for an icing call. Right now, the Devils are executing this system so well that they become a nightmare to generate offense against. Any mistake or turnover at the blue line or in the zone is amplified because of how well New Jersey can transition. Sheldon Keefe has them absolutely humming right now, and heading into 2025, they look like they could be legitimate cup contenders. Now, you can't know true success until you understand pain. And Islanders fans have known this for far too long, as they are our loser in the number 5 spot. Now, I'm going to shelf me and Lou Lamoriello's beef in this video to go over some cold, hard truth for this Islander squad. Bringing in Patty Waugh to replace Lane Lambert at the beginning of 2024 was enough to bump them into that first wildcard position. But after another first-round exit to the Hurricanes, which saw them blow multiple leads, it had them going back to the drawing board. And by drawing board, I mean Lou woke up for a day, signed Anthony Duclair, and then called it an offseason. Aside from them being the greatest ambient the sport has to offer, the Islanders' main problems come from their special teams. Both their power play and penalty kill is absolutely ass, being dead last in the NHL. The PK formation the Islanders run is a diamond formation. It's common in the NHL. When done well, it allows for quick pressures on each half wall and for the D to box out guys in front of the net and stop any tip plays. But in a diamond formation, you're susceptible to 2 problems. One is the bumper man in the middle of the ice. If he gets possession, everyone is forced to quickly over-collapse and all hell breaks loose. Issue number 2 of the diamond formation, the high forward, weak side forward, and the short side D all need to move in unison when the PP passes the puck. That's what she said. With 3 moving parts, quick puck movement up high creates all kinds of seams. Oftentimes, the Islanders are just too slow to the read and don't cohesively move as a unit, and it leaves power plays with all these uncontested chances. The Islanders' age and speed makes them often a step behind the play. So while it might be a failure to execute this structure, the roster construction is just as much to blame. The same goes for their dead last power play. Many teams in the NHL play the 1-3-1 formation, but the lack of star power means they struggle with execution. Matthew Barzal is on an island over there, no pun intended, and when he does use his vision and skill to create a good look, the Islanders don't have an elite trigger man to make good on his efforts. The result is a team who is painful to watch. They are old, slow, and worst of all, they are boring. Going into 2025, unless there's a drastic trade or Ilya Sorokin becomes Superman, the Islanders will likely be toast. Also, losing to the Buffalo Sabres to snap their 13-game losing streak is more than enough to have them on the loser list. Now, maybe Lou just needs a vacation, something to take the edge off, perhaps a fishing trip. My FBI informant says that he doesn't leave the rink, so he should try Fishing Clash. Fishing Clash is the mobile game that allows you to fish like a pro without actually going fishing. And for free, you can download the game on the App Store or through Google Play to start reeling in the catches from real-life locations all around the world. I know the OGs in here remember Dustin Byfuglien. The guy went from straight up crushing players in the neutral zone and ragdolling people with each hand to becoming a pro fisher. Now you can kind of be like Dustin Byfuglien by ripping your 11 p.m. beer league game and then fire up Fishing Clash after to feel better about going -6 on the night. The great thing is that it's super easy too, so if you did get pumped in your late night hockey game, you can at least feel better by catching some fish. All you need to do is tap, cast, and catch, and if you want to get the competitive juices going and get in the mix, you can compete against millions of other players worldwide with real-time battles and clan wars. If you want to get started, you can download the game by clicking on my link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen here. Use my code HOCKEY to get a $20 value reward, including a unique avatar for free. When you launch the game for the first time, go to the upper right-hand corner, click the menu icon, and select gift code and type hockey for that free gift. Honestly, I don't know what's funnier, Lou Lamoriello putting a bounty on my head or the thought of him downloading an app. Either way, let's move on to our winner number 4 in the Washington Capitals. The Caps started off 2024 by being the definition of an anomaly. A crazy multi-game web on the second last day of the regular season eventually led to them burying an empty netter and becoming the first team ever to make the playoffs with a -37 goal differential. Being a total anomaly in every sense of the word was great for a Cinderella story. But reality set in when they got swept by the Rangers, with Ovi registering 0 points. This team's contention window was closing, and it looked like next year was going to be all about Ovi's chase for the record. But the Caps completely retooled, and Alex Ovechkin has looked like a brand new man. The hottest start to his career was bolstered by a Caps forecheck and system that caters to his current style. With line mates in Protas and Strome being able to win puck battles and find him as the trigger man, Ovi was getting a ton of good looks. Then the Russian machine temporarily broke, but the Caps held strong. Washington's moves in the offseason got them a bit younger and quicker and have allowed them to attack with width and pace. If they catch you holding the line on them, they have the speed and size to drive directly north and make a play to the net. If you retreat and give them your blue line like Buffalo does here, they will make an east-west play and use the gap advantage given to them to make you pay. It's also that same pace that allows them to get on defenders quick on the forecheck and create high-danger scoring chances before the defensive team can fully recover. Yes, they're riding one of the best shooting percentages in the league, and while one could argue that they're getting lucky and the success will regress, their process for creating offense is putting them in high-danger chances that make it easy to convert. Almost a full year later, and now the Caps hold one of the best goal differentials in the NHL. For being able to turn around their outlook in the second half of 2024 heading into 2025, they remain an anomaly, but a good one heading into the new year. And in a parallel universe where the Caps went the other way, they would have ended up like our loser number 4 on this list, which is the Detroit Red Wings. Despite making a late push for the playoffs at the end of the 24 season, they ultimately fell short in a dramatic way. They won their last game of the season in OT versus Montreal, but the same game and empty net goal that got the Caps into the playoffs also eliminated the Red Wings. The Yzer plan fell short, but there was hope for optimism. That was until the 24-25 season started. The story for them this season has been a god-awful PK and terrible 5-on-5 play. For the life of them, they can't stop an entry on the PK, and it's created a full-blown freeway into their zone for power plays to come in and set up. And when they do set up, it's a total fire drill. But the nail in the coffin for this team is their complete lack of offense. With weapons like Kane, DeBrincat, Larkin, and Raymond, scoring should be the last of their issues. But looking at their NHL edge stats, they are below the 50th percentile in pretty much every category. In terms of skating speed, they're well below league average, so generating anything significant on the rush becomes a challenge. The Red Wings have a lot of these type of anemic rush plays that amount to nothing. The overall pace of this attack is just super easy to defend and read. The puck carried doesn't attack on an angle or with much speed, so the D can gap up relatively easy, and the lack of pace makes it simple for Montreal to recover on the back check. And so the play just ends up going nowhere. The Red Wings are also below the 50th percentile in ozone time, and well below average in terms of shot on goal in high danger areas. Usually in their attack, the Red Wings go into this 2-3-0 zone structure. A lot of teams use it, but like most systems in the NHL, it requires creativity and pace to be effective. The Red Wings don't have a lot of either. Oftentimes, they end up on the perimeter and are forced to take Hail Mary shots from range. And even when there is a potential opening for some creativity and extended O-zone possession, they tend to lean towards throwing it on net with traffic and hopes of things going right. That recipe is good for an offense that's dead last in the NHL. And that was enough to finally spark a coaching change with Todd McClellan being behind the bench going into 2025. But hey, at least Stevie Y is open to listening to your suggestions for his Yzer plan heading into the new year. Now, going to our winner in the number 3 spot, it's going to be Nathan MacKinnon. Now, I know, this is a weird one. A single player as a winner, I get it. But from a pure dominance standpoint, Nathan MacKinnon has been a man-possessed and borderline unstoppable in 2024. I know Kucherov and McDavid exist, but winning the Hart Trophy last season and following up by leading the NHL in scoring going into the new year, he may very well be on his way to his second MVP trophy in as many years. And that's because when he gets the puck, he's coming at you like a freight train. Again this season, he leads all players in both 20 mile per hour and 22 mile per hour plus speed bursts. But with Mac, it's all about his timing with these speed bursts that set him apart. Centers are taught to go low and slow in the zone to provide their wingers and D with a support option. But the second the puck is moved up the wall or he senses a potential turnover, he starts chugging up the middle of the ice. Colorado wingers are aware, and if they can beat the initial pressure of a pressing D-man, MacKinnon gets the puck in full flight. There's usually not a puck that MacKinnon picks up without him already taking 2 to 3 strides prior to possession. To have the speed is one thing. To understand when and how to use it is another, and it's a skill that MacKinnon has mastered. Of course, to put up the numbers that MacKinnon has, you have to be an overwhelming force on the power play, and he has the ability to break or manipulate PK structures in multiple ways. Have a defender anticipating a one-time pass to Mac, he remains one step ahead by faking the shot, pushing it to the middle, and then firing it. However, it's his playmaking that makes him a true dual threat, and his main target is the bumper. Think you have an option covered down low? Think again. He'll step up aggressively towards the net to show shot, only to leave a perfect layup for the bumper like this. And even on a set play where 2 players are collapsing towards MacKinnon to not only take away the slot, but his shot threat, a cheeky dish for the bumper ends up in the back of the net. Oh, and if you piss him off enough, he'll drop the gloves. That is just a fraction of his offensive brilliance that has allowed him to be the 2024 MVP and has him as the front runner to do it again in 2025. Now, going back to teams for our loser in the number 3 slot, it's going to be the New York Rangers. If I had them in this spot at the end of last season, I'd look like a complete asshat. This Rangers team went all the way to the conference finals and lost to the eventual Cup champs. It seemed like they were right there to knock on the door again, but they're riding shotgun on the 18-wheeler off the cliff heading into 2025. Despite a 12-6-2 start to the season, GM Chris Drury was a non-believer. So he sent out a memo to 31 other teams saying that the Rangers were open for business and include the names of Captain Jacob Trouba and Chris Kreider. They lose 6 of their next 7, trade Trouba to the Ducks, and manage the situation in a way that the room wasn't very fond of. The Rangers have been in free fall since. Structurally, their main issue is their rush defense. New York gives up 6.04 rush scoring chances, that's 3rd worst in the NHL, and 5.81 odd man rushes per game at 5-on-5. That is the worst in the NHL. Because the Rangers want to be on top of their opponents, they're vulnerable to having 3 players getting caught below the hash marks to create pressure. So, when their D get aggressive and try and maintain that play style, it's leading to odd man rush after odd man rush. The Rangers have also changed their defensive structure from being a straight man-on-man last season to a more hybrid style. The result is them looking completely lost when the puck is low in their zone, and teams know that if you can get the Rangers to defend low, you can get body positioning and catch them with their pants down trying to sort out their coverages. Igor can only save them so much. Combine that failure to execute with all the noise in the Big Apple, the Rangers are a shell of who they once were. So they head into 2025 on the loser list. Moving on to number 2 in the winner spot, it's going to be the Edmonton Oilers. At the beginning of this year, the Oilers were in the middle of one of the greatest comebacks the league has ever seen. From the basement of the NHL to a 16-game winning streak and an unforgettable run to the Stanley Cup final, they were down 3-0 to the Panthers, only to come all the way back and then lose in Game 7. Coming all that way just to fall short, the Oilers had a slow start to the 24-25 season. But we've seen this rodeo before, and they look like they're picking up right where they left off heading into 2025. With the McDraisaitl Happy Meal combo, Edmonton makes them borderline unstoppable with their variety of systems and design plays in the O-zone. Against man-on-man defenses, McDavid will run a crisscross play up high with his defenders. The defending team has to decide whether or not to switch or stay on McDavid. Here, Minnesota decides to switch up high as Kaprizov attaches on McDavid, but that slight delay in decision-making along with a nifty move is usually more than enough time for McDavid to take advantage of and make a play. These scissor routes up high maximize McDavid's possession with the puck and allow him to single-handedly undo defensive structures with his patience and all-world talent. Combine that with their depth and how well they check as a five-man unit with their 1-2-2 system, they come at you quick and in layers, and they have the talent to finish off a quick turnover. The only slight issue that may sink them is their special teams. In their cup run, their power play and penalty kill was unstoppable. This year, it's nowhere near the same effectiveness, but if any team can turn it around, the Oilers have proven in 2024 that they are the team to do it. As for a loser in the number 2 spot, it's the Nashville Predators. These poor schleps mirror the same fate of that of the Rangers, but didn't nearly have the same level of success. Being on the bubble and teetering on mediocrity at the beginning of 2024, a blowout to the hands of the Dallas Stars forced management to cancel the team's night out to the Sphere to see a U2 concert. And so, we had the inception of the FU2 tour from Nashville. An absurd 16-0-2 run single-handedly got them in the playoffs and had Preds fans re-downloading U2 on their phone. However, a first-round exit to the hands of the Vancouver Canucks meant that the Preds went big game hunting. They spent a whopping $108 million in free agency, bringing in Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea. Everyone screamed cup contenders, and they came out and completely shat the bed. Early on in the season, the Preds suffered from what seemed to be bad luck. They were among the top teams in the league in terms of O-zone time and time spent in their D-zone, yet they had a super low shooting percentage. And because they suffer from being slow, their over-aggressiveness had them getting caught up ice, and the lack of team speed prevented them from any sort of recovery. With one of the worst ranked offenses in the league, the Preds struggled to generate anything at all. Fans were waiting for things to finally click and turn around, but going into 2025, it looks like this team is a lot closer to the team that they are rather than the cup contenders everyone expected them to be. The only remedy, of course, is to plan another trip to the Sphere and cancel it. Now, before we go into our number 1 spot, I know there's a ton of honorable mentions. Vegas could easily be a winner, the Jets, Gary Bettman's bank account with the overall health of the league, but the true number 1 for 2024 and heading into the new year still has to be the Florida Panthers. They are the defending cup champs, and coming into the season, they were the team to beat, and leaving 2024, it's hard to argue otherwise. Even with the turnover on the edges of their roster, Paul Maurice has complete buy-in from his team. The Florida model of aggressive, in-your-face but responsible hockey is still very much evident through all 4 lines. Every player has the green light to apply pressure because everyone on Florida knows where to be for support. It all starts and ends with Alex Barkov. The two-way wizard that he is, his work as the F3 allows the Panthers to be aggressive on the wall and sustain pressure. Then there's Sam Reinhart. Samson is one of the most intelligent players in the world. It's why he has the most special teams goals of any player in the last 32 years. On the power play, he may be the best bumper player in the league. Leave him uncontested in this area, it's going from Tkachuk to him to the back of the net. A player as smart as Reinhart thrives on the PK too. Knowing how to angle off shooters and put them in a vulnerable position to pick their pocket is something that he does incredibly well. The Panthers may not be first in the NHL heading into the new year, but considering that they are cup champs and may very well win their division again this season, it's not hard to have them as the undisputed winners going into the new year. Now for the grand finale. The ultimate loser in 2024 heading into 2025 has to be the Buffalo Sabres. Again, a ton of honorable mentions that could have been in the spot. The Ducks, Blackhawks, Sharks all would have been worthy, but the Sabres and their years of suffering take the cake. There's no palm trees, the taxes are too damn high, and they continue to be the most sad franchise in hockey. Flirting with the idea of competing for a playoff spot in the latter half of last season, they of course fell short. So they come into the 24-25 season with a new coach, another year with the young core, some hope and optimism, but they are a complete disaster. A 13-game losing streak just to completely bury any promise that this fan base had. To go into what's wrong with the Buffalo Sabres should be a form of torture. And I could sit here and tell you all the things they did wrong in their 13-game slide from a structure standpoint, but that doesn't help because the problem is much bigger than that. Buffalo has become a losing culture. From ownership right down to the players, losing has become accepted. Part of the norm, just another day at the office. The Sabres are the youngest team in the NHL. They only have one player on the roster over 30 in Jason Zucker. Management have insisted on giving a young and improving core the bag with term and then failed them again by not surrounding that core with experienced players to help stabilize things when they snowball out of control. Kevin Adams is telling the truth when he says no one wants to come to Buffalo because of the lack of palm trees and taxes, but it's his job to change that. Ownership believes that the solution is in the room, and with the young pieces they have, they're probably right. I mean, look at the superstars that have left Buffalo and have had success. It truly has become a chicken and egg scenario. They can't get certain players to come to Buffalo because they suck. And they suck because they can't get the right players to support. The result is a vicious cycle of losing. The Buffalo Sabres and their fans deserve better, but they are our number one loser heading into 2025. So, who are your winners and losers of 2024 while heading into the new year? Drop a comment down below, and a very big thank you again to Fish and Clash for sponsoring today's video. If you want to see more player and team breakdowns along with the weekly NHL recaps, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date in the new year.